Deep in the Amazon, there's a sound so terrifying, scientists refuse to study it. Play it, and animals flee. Record it, and people vanish. Is the jungle's deadliest secret? In 2019, a team of researchers trekked into the heart of the Amazon, armed with state-of-the-art equipment. Their mission: to document rare species. But deep in the Emerald Labyrinth, they found something unexpected. A low-frequency hum, pulsing through the trees like a heartbeat. At first, they thought it was a rare animal. Howler monkeys produce sounds like this, but only during mating season. Jaguars also vocalize in low frequencies to communicate, but their sounds are sharp and short, not this rhythmic pulse. As the team followed the sound, they felt an unnatural chill. The forest around them grew unnaturally still, even the wind holding its breath. Then they saw it, a clearing dominated by a massive kapok tree. Its branches were bare, stripped of leaves, and from its center came that pulsating hum. There, Carlos Rivera, the lead biologist, stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He placed a microphone at the base of the tree and started recording. The device picked up a low rumble, too deep for human ears to detect. But once amplified, the recording sent shivers down their spines. Back at their research base, they analyzed the recording, and that's when their blood ran cold. The frequency matched infrasound, the same sound that triggers primal fear in humans. Infrasound can influence our emotions, causing anxiety, dread, and panic. You might have experienced it before, an uneasy feeling in a crowded place, or during a horror movie. But this was different, far more intense and dangerous. 3 days later, Dr. Rivera led his team to the clearing, but the doctor wasn't there. Panic surged through the group. They searched for hours, calling out his name, but there was no answer. Suddenly, they heard a faint voice calling for help. They raced towards the sound and found Dr. Rivera miles from camp. His clothes were torn, his eyes wide with terror. He kept repeating one phrase: it wasn't natural. Before they could ask questions, he collapsed, his breathing shallow and fast. Despite their efforts, they couldn't revive him. Was the sound the cause? They didn't know. Days turned into weeks. But the team couldn't shake the haunting image of the bloodied kapok tree or Dr. Rivera's crazed eyes. Before leaving, they buried the doctor under the kapok tree and took soil samples from the area. Back at the lab, the soil tested positive for human blood. Dr. Rivera's DNA was found on the tree and on the recorder. But there was something else. The recordings picked up a faint signal. It was Morse code. When deciphered, it spelled out a chilling message. The trees are watching. The sound is alive. But how could a tree absorb sound? And why did it drive Dr. Rivera mad? It was a mystery that would haunt them for years. Now let's delve deeper into the whispers and myths surrounding the breath of the forest. Locals call it the breath of the forest, and they've known about it for centuries. Play the sound near rivers, and fish float belly up. Play it near villages, and children wake screaming from nightmares. It's an unseen force, a presence that some say is malevolent. When the research team returned home, they couldn't escape the shadows of the forest. Nightmares plagued their sleep, and whispers followed them in the wind. One team member, Sarah Collins, a botanist, began researching local legends. She discovered stories of explorers who ventured into the forest and never returned. Some say they heard the breath of the forest and lost their minds. Others claim it lured them deeper into the jungle, never to be seen again. Sarah shared her findings with the others, but they brushed it off as folklore. That is until strange things started happening. Their equipment began malfunctioning, and whispers seemed to emanate from the forest. Then one night, a violent storm hit. Wind howled like a wounded beast, and rain lashed against their windows. And then they heard it, a low rumble in the distance, growing louder with every passing moment. It sounded like the growl of a giant awakening from its slumber. They rushed outside, their hearts pounding in their chests. In the flickering light of their flashlights, they saw the river, swollen and angry, rising beyond its banks. But it wasn't the river they were looking at. It was what was coming out of it. From the depths it rose, tendrils of mist, coiling and twisting, forming shapes both familiar and grotesque. It reached for them, icy fingers probing, testing. They stumbled back, their screams swallowed by the storm. They spent the night huddled together, their fear palpable in the darkness. By morning, the river had receded, leaving behind a trail of destruction. But it wasn't the damage that shocked them. It was what they found on the bank. Hundreds of fish lay flopped on the ground, their eyes staring blankly into the sky. Had the breath of the forest claimed them? Then they noticed something peculiar. Each fish had a tiny hole near its gills, as if something had sucked the life out of them. But what and why? They knew then that they were dealing with something ancient, something powerful beyond their understanding. Driven by fear or perhaps a thirst for knowledge, they delved deeper into the myths. Sarah discovered tales of a creature known as the Yakumama, a water spirit that lived in the depths of the Amazon. Some said it was a benevolent being, protecting the forest and its inhabitants. Others described it as a monstrous serpent, capable of destroying entire villages. Could the Yakumama be the source of the breath of the forest? Were the fish its victims? As they grappled with these questions, the forest around them stirred. Vines crept closer to their camp, and whispers seemed to mock their every move. They decided to leave, to flee from the danger that lurked in the shadows. But as they packed their things, a sense of foreboding settled over them. They were being watched. One of the researchers, Mark Jenkins, a seasoned explorer, tried to shake off the feeling, but then he saw it, a pair of eyes gleaming in the underbrush, watching them intently. Panic surged through him. He motioned for the others to look, but by the time they turned their heads, the eyes had vanished. As they fled the forest, the whispers followed, growing louder, more insistent. They ran for their lives, the specter of the Yakamama looming over them. But there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The forest had claimed them, and the breath of the forest echoed through their bones. Deep in the Amazon, there are places where the laws of nature seem to bend. Patches of silence so profound that they defy explanation. These are the forbidden zones, areas where sound simply vanishes, leaving behind an eerie quiet. It all began with a routine mission. A team of scientists was mapping the Amazon using advanced technology. Their goal was to monitor wildlife and document plant species. But as they moved deeper into the rainforest, their equipment started acting strangely. The satellite imagery revealed something astonishing. Vast expanses of the Amazon where no sound waves pent. It was as if an invisible force was swallowing all noise. At first, they dismissed it as a technical glitch, but then they realized the implications. If sound couldn't escape these areas, neither could any living creature. Yet they found lush vegetation, vibrant and untouched. What was keeping animals and insects from entering these silent zones? And why were sound waves trapped within? One researcher, Dr. Isabella Cortez, an expert in acoustics, took it upon herself to investigate. She ventured into one of the silent zones, carrying a backpack filled with recording devices. As she stepped into the eerie stillness, a chill ran down her spine. It wasn't the absence of sound that frightened her. It was what it represented. A barrier, a wall that separated the world into two halves. She tried to record the boundary, but her equipment failed. It was as if the very act of recording was forbidden. Then she noticed something incredible. On the other side of the boundary, the foliage was different. The trees were taller, their branches intertwined, forming a dense canopy overhead. There was a distinct change in the ecosystem. Could this be the source of the humming sound that drove Dr. Rivera mad? Or was there something more sinister at play? As she explored further, she found traces of Dr. Rivera, remnants of his presence in the Forbidden Zone. His journal lay open on a Moscovared rock, its pages filled with frantic The entries told a tale of terror, of a place where the rules of reality were broken. Dr. Cortez felt a sense of dread creep upon her. She realized that she was not alone in this place. Something was watching her, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. With a racing heart, she turned and fled. The journal clutched tightly in her hand. As she stumbled through the undergrowth, she heard a noise. A low rumble that seemed to shake the very foundations of the forest. Then she saw it, a gaping hole in the canopy above her head. And from that opening, she saw the sky. For the first time in days, sunlight streamed down, illuminating the path ahead. With renewed determination, she raced towards the light, desperate to escape the clutches of the forest. But as she emerged from the trees, she turned back to see the clearing, the kapok tree, and the endless expanse of the silent zone. The forest was closing in, reclaiming its own. And with a final scream, the breath of the forest claimed another victim. What do you think? Is there a forbidden sound lurking in our world, waiting to be uncovered? Or are these mysteries best left unsolved? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to smash that like button before you go. Thanks for watching. See you next time.